Good to see you, class. This is Sashi, your science mentor. Today I am taking up the chapter number 6, which is the living organisms, characteristics, and habitats of a course book, Science Horizon, Class 6 by Amit Publishing House. Guys, so let's see the chapter contents that we are going to study today. Habitat and their kinds, components of a habitat, adaptation, and climatization, right? So let's see the chapter. Let's start it. Living beings are found in air, land, water, and trees as well. They are found at many places on the earth that provide them food, shelter, and environment to reproduce and to survive. So you'll find the living beings everywhere in air, you'll find it in the water, on land, right? And we stay there, we arrange food and shelter, environment, reproduce and survive. They are the characters of living beings. From mountain tops to deep ocean, dry desert to moist forest and soil, we can find the living beings. You find the living beings where? In the desert, in the on the mountains, on the plains, right? So, forest also you find living beings there. The place where a plant or an animal live in the natural condition is called its habitat. So you know what is the meaning of habitat? Habitat means where a living being lives, and it is the natural condition. It is not like you are living in a room, right? It is not like this. So natural conditions like mountains, plains, water, air, natural conditions are called habitat where a living organism lives, right? In other words, a habitat means a dwelling place or a home. So home in the natural condition is called a habitat. A habitat provides food, water, air, light, shelter, and a place for reproduction of living organisms. So these are the characters of living organisms. They eat, they breathe, they move, they reproduce, right? So they need shelter to stay in, they need water to drink as well, right? So we will discuss about the habitat and their kinds. So different types of plants and animals living in different habitats can be divided into two groups. First is terrestrial habitat and another is aquatic habitat. So we have learned about the terrestrial plants also. So where the plants that grow on land, similarly the animals that live on land are called terrestrial animals or living beings, and the aquatic habitats where the living things in the water, right? So this is called the aquatic habitat. So habitat is a place where a living being lives, right? So this is again a grid. You can find and you can write down the mountain, the living beings that you'll find on mountains, in desert, forest, ponds and sea, land. You can fill this grid on your own. It is very easy. Like mountains, you'll find the pine trees. Plants are also living beings, right? In desert, you find the cactus. In forest, so many different kinds of trees or plants and animals, like lion is also there in forest. Pond and sea, the fishes are there, and on land like cow, human beings. So in this way you can fill the grid with the living things. Now let's move on to the terrestrial habitat. We have grouped the habitat into two, terrestrial and aquatic. First, we'll learn about the terrestrial habitat. A land habitat, a land-based habitat is called what? It is called the terrestrial habitat. The plants and animals which live on land are called what? The terrestrial habitat. And the terrestrial habitat includes what? It includes the deserts, the mountains, forests, and grassland. So, grassland is a place where the greenery is present, the area where the greenery is present. So, examples of terrestrial organisms that includes camel, deer, elephant, horse, trees, humans, etc. are some common examples of terrestrial living things. Terrestrial living things, just repeating one more time, the living things that live on land, right, is called the terrestrial habitat. Each terrestrial habitat has its own characteristics that suits the organism that can live in it, right? It includes the climatic conditions, how we have adapted, human beings, plants, and animals, the different adaptations they have adapted to survive for this particular condition, right? So many organisms share the same habitat. Deserts are the places where you find which kind of climate you'll find. You'll find very hot and dry climate there, and it is very hot and dry during the day, and it is cold in night, right? And there is a scarcity of water too. So because of this, soil is converted into sand. So sand is not able to hold the water properly, and because there is a scarcity of water, the soil is converted into sand. In India, Rajasthan and Gujarat states have deserts, right? So these states have deserts. Mountains are rocky and above the plain, and will find the different kind of vegetation, different kinds of plants, and different types of animals. Animals are different that are there in desert, right? Because the climatic conditions are different. The mountains are cool and rainfall is there very oftenly. Plains again different from mountains and deserts. Plains are stretches of land with the different distribution of vegetation and animals. Different types of plants grow according to the different climatic conditions, and animals are also different. So climate depends on proximity to mountains, desert, water bodies, etc. Proximity means closer, how close you are to the mountains, to the deserts, to the water bodies, etc. Right? Grasslands are the vast lands with grasses on it. They have enough moisture in the soil for plants grow. The soil is where the amount of water is there, and the soil is not as dry as the sand is. It can hold water, right? So where the growth of plants are possible. So what is aquatic habitat, kids? Aquatic habitat means water-based habitat is known as aquatic, as we know that aquatic plants. Similarly, aquatic animals are also there. There's the plants and animals which live in water are known as aquatic habitat. Aquatic habitat includes what? It includes ponds, lakes, rivers. These are swamps and oceans. Swamps means daldal, the marshy areas. Daldal. Organism living in aquatic habitat are called aquatic organisms. Examples includes fishes, crabs, frogs, ducks, etc. Alright. Now aquatic habitat are again two different types based upon the dissolved salt, the quantity of salt in it. The river, ponds, and the lakes, they are the examples of fresh water, means salt is not dissolved in it. And on the other hand, seas and oceans have salty water, or you will say the saline water. It is having salt, and we make salt of it. With the seas and ocean water, we extract the salt with the process of evaporation that we have learned in the previous chapters. So that is why seawater is used to make the salt. We have now you know the fresh water bodies and the salty water bodies, right? So there's a difference of presence of salt in it, right? Now the components of a habitat, we call it biotic and abiotic components. Biotic, just understand in very simple language, biotic means living things. Biotic means living things, and abiotic means non-living things. So first we will discuss the biotic components. The term biotic means living organism. All the living things in a habitat are called biotic components, right? The living things that are living things are called biotic components. The living things in a habitat are what? The plants, the animals, and the microorganisms. They are different for different habitats, right? Like camel. Camel is adapted to live in desert region, right? Fish swim in water, polar bear in the snowy regions, right? So different kinds of animals have adapted the climatic condition for their survival, and all the living things are called biotic components, right? Biotic. Now the next term is abiotic components, which includes the non-living things. That is abiotic components, right? The various non-living things inhabited like soil, rocks, air, sunlight, etc. are what? They are non-living things. So that is why we have kept them into abiotic components group, right? So let's see their habitat, the biotic and the abiotic components. First is adaptations. Now what is adaptation? Means survival according to their different climatic conditions, right? So we will discuss in detail. Don't worry about it. We'll come to know what is it. So there are different kinds of habitat having entirely different environmental conditions. We have different environment the conditions, it varies place to place, right? Such as, that includes what? Climatic condition includes temperature and amount of water intake. So different kinds of plants and animals live in different habitat. A living thing can survive in particular habitat if its body is adjusted. It is adjusted to the condition or the environment of that habitat where the biotic components are living, right? So, like you'll see that camel is adapted the environmental conditions of desert region, right? It can stay without water for so many days, because when it drinks near about 100 liters of water at a time, right? So it can stay without water for many days, and its food is stored in hump, so it can stay without food also, right? So the body of camel has adapted the different condition or the climatic condition, right? So animals develop special characters or features in their body in order to survive, right? So such features that enables an organisms to adjust or adapt its surrounding, these are called what? Adaptive features, or we call it adaptation. Have you understood what is adaptation, kids? The features that are changed in us according to the climatic conditions are called adaptive features or adaptations, right? Hence, a camel is adapted to live in a desert, and fish is adapted to live in the water, a bird in air, and monkey on a tree. So we have some special features. All the creatures, all the living beings like plants, like animals and other organisms, humans, right? So we have adapted ourselves or changed ourselves according to the climatic conditions. So we will discuss about these adaptations. First, we will discuss about the adaptations of desert, right? So desert. Desert is very hot and dry place and scanty where rainfall. So it's very few, very less or no rainfall is there. So land is covered with sand. It is covered with sand because most of the soil has converted into sand because of the scanty rainfall. A little or no vegetation is there in sand. Vegetation is not possible because plants are not able to grow properly in this sand. The plants and animals that live here have developed special feature for surviving in hot and dry conditions of the desert, right? So what all are the adaptations? So different adaptation in desert plants. First we will discuss about the plants, then we'll move on to the animals, right? So plants such as cacti and acacias grow in the desert region. So what all the adaptation, because the climatic conditions are very hot and dry during the daytime and cold during the night time. So the leaves in desert plants are absent or they have changed into spines to reduce the water loss. We have learned in the previous chapter that transpiration is a process that happens every time, right? So the water gets evaporated with stomatas, right? So this, to reduce the transpiration, the plants, this cactus leaves or acacia's leaves has turned into the spines so that it can be reduced. Now, in most plants, photosynthesis is carried. Just wait, kids. So, in most plants, photosynthesis is carried out by leaves. We all know the leaves have chlorophyll, and the leaves are the food factories of a plant. So this process is being carried out by leaves only. Since the leaves of desert plants are absent or very small, or it is changed into spine, the stem of desert plants are modified to perform the functions of leaves. Means the stem of cactus plant, because the leaves are not present, the cactus plant has thorns, so the stem is modified into what? It is green and fleshy, it stores water, and it has chlorophyll. We know that the cactus also prepare food for its own, right? And it is possible because of the green stem which has chlorophyll in it. Thus, in desert plants, photosynthesis is carried out by the green stem. Now, third is the stem of desert plants are modified for storing water. This stem also stores water. They are covered with a thick waxy layer to prevent the water loss. So the stem has chlorophyll in it. It is modified, it stores water, and it has the waxy coating. Waxy coating means if you apply any such a let's say Vaseline onto any surface, so it won't get dried so fast. So to prevent the water loss, the stem of cactus plants has waxy coating on it. Most of the desert plants have long roots which go deep inside the earth to absorb water and minerals because there is a scarcity of water, scanty rainfall. So because of these conditions, the roots goes deep into the soil to absorb the water, right? So we have seen the adaptation in plants in case of desert region. Now we will see the adaptation in animals for the desert region. So camel, we all know camel is called the ship of desert. So it has what all the changes or what all the different characters the camel has the as compared to the animals that are living in mountain, in plains, right? So we will see what all are the different adaptations in camel. A camel has long legs which helps to keep its body away from the hot sand in the desert. So the sand in desert gets hot very quickly, right? So the long legs help the camel to keep it away from the sand, right? Now a camel has large and flat feet which help to walk easily on sand. You can see the flat feet and flat and broad. It has cushion also. So camel is able to move easily on hot sand, right? So a camel can drink a large amount of water, 100 to 120 liters at one go, and it stores in its body so it can stay without water for many days. Now, a camel hump has fat which is stored in it, and in long run, in long journeys, camel uses this fat. We all know we get energy with carbohydrates and fats, right? So fats gives energy when it is walking or in a long journey. So it can stay without food for some days, right? A camel passes a small amount of concentrated urine. So what does it mean concentrated urine? This urine, the urine of camel has less amount of water. So it is concentrated means you can say in very simple language it is thick urine. Is dung is dry and camel does not sweat at all. Like we people sweat, we sweat and our body gets detoxified, some unuseful things we are throwing out because of the sweat. We drink a lot of water, right? So camel can survive without water, so it does not sweat, and its tongue is very dry. So since a camel loses very little water from its body, it can live for many days without drinking water. So now you know that how it can say because its urine is concentrated or thick it does not sweat, and its dung is also dry. So because of these, the excretion processes contains very less amount of water. Because of this, camel retains its water in its body, and because of this feature or this adaptation, it lives without water for many days. Right? A camel has long and thick eyelashes. It protects the long eyelashes protect the camel to prevent the sand from entering into its eyes, like long lashes. It closes its lashes, it blinks its eyes, it closes the long eyelashes, prevent the camel's eyes from sand entering in there. Now it can close its nostril to stop sand from entering into the nose. It can also close its nostrils, right? So these are some adaptations that other animals does not have. Now the burrowing animals, the animals like snake and rats, they live in burrows, right? They survive. Snakes and rats, they live in burrow, and during the day hot time, during the day when the climate is very hot, sand is hot, so they how do they protect themselves? Rat and snake, they live in burrow, so they hide themselves in this burrow, and when they come out in the cold time when it is night, so they come out and they search food. So the burrows stay cool during the day and hence protect these animals from the heat of the sun, as well as prevent them for water loss, right? When they are hide themselves into the burrow, they are not out. So they are preventing them from the water loss. They come out from the burrow in search of food during the cold night. So we will discuss about mountain region now, the adaptations that are found in plants and animals that are living in mountainous regions. The biotic components we are talking about, right? Have you been to a hill station? What is your observation there? You will find very high hills, and very high hills are called what? Hills are smaller as compared to mountains. Very high hills are called what? They are called mountains. Mountains are covered with snow throughout the year. So mountain habitats are very cold and windy, right? So snowfall occurs in many mountain regions. So we will see the adaptation in plants first. Adaptation in mountainous plants. So trees are the examples of tree that grow in mountains is pine, or we call them conifers. Conifers because it has cones. They are conical shape, and instead of flowers, the conifer forest or the conifer plants have cones, and they store their seeds in cones, right? So we call it conifers also, that found at higher altitude, means at great height, survive in extremely cold and windy climatic condition. You can imagine if you are at mountain and snow is everywhere, it surrounds you. So how you will feel? You feel very cold and windy there, right? So we will learn about this habitat now. So the adaptation which the plants have adapted first is they are usually conical in shape and they have sloping leaves. I told you kids that the plants are in cone shape, and why they have cone shape and they have needle leaves? or you'll say the narrow leaves, because the water, the rainwater and snow can slip off easily. So that is why they have cones, so which allows rainwater and snow slides off without damaging the plant, right? So most mountain trees have needle-like leaves. Why they have needle-like leaves? Because to prevent the loss of water, which we call transpiration. As we have learned in the desert plant also, to reduce the water loss or to reduce the rate of transpiration, the leaves changed into thorns. Similarly, in mountainous region, trees have which kind of the needle shaped leaves and conical leaves, right? So next is the broad-leaved mountain trees shed their leaves before the onset of winter. Like we have the autumn season, so trees in winter season mostly they shed their leaves, right? We have studied in the previous chapters. They shed their leaves to prevent the water loss, because transpiration continuously happens with the leaves. So to prevent this, the broad-leaved mountain trees they fall down. So needle-shaped trees, needle-shaped leaves will not fall down. The trees that have broad leaves, the broad leaves will fall down. Why so? Because to reduce the rate of transpiration, right? To survival during winter, when water in the soil is frozen and not available for the roots. So how they can survive without water? It is happening. So plants have adapted this feature. They are shedding their leaves in the winter season, onset of winter season rather, right? They are shedding their leaves to reduce this process. Now, adaptations in mountain animals. So, are we clear about the mountainous, the adaptation in plants in mountain region? Excellent. So, now moving to the adaptation in animals where in the mountainous region. So animals living in mountains habitat are also adapted to the extremely cold environment. They have following features. So let's see what all features they have. Animals such as yak have thick hair on their body. Like in winters, what do? We cover ourselves with mittens, with woolen clothes, with cap. So similarly, yaks also have thick hair on its body to protect them from cold, and it helps in keeping them warm, so they can survive in this climatic condition. A mountain goat has strong hooves for running up the rocking slopes of mountain. For what? For grazing. And its body is also covered with long hair. So goats also have long hair on its body, and they have strong hooves. Hooves, you call it in Hindi, khur. So it has different body structure or feet, which is called hoof, and hooves are very strong, so that they gods can move easily on mountains, right? Now snow leopards and polar bears, they have thick fur on their body which protect them from cold. All the animals they are staying in mountainous region, they have thick fur on their body. They also have layer of fat inside their body, so this fat keeps the animals warm. So the snow leopards and polar bears have thick fur on their body, and they have big feet. You can see in this picture this Snow leopard has big feet to spread their weight on the snow and prevent them from sinking into it in soft snow. If they have thin feet, so they can sink into the snow. To prevent sinking into the snow leopards and the polar bears, they have broad feet, or you will call it big feet, and they balance their weight on their big feet, right? So now we will discuss about the forest, the animals and plants. They are staying in forest means the abiotic components that are living in forest region. So let's see what all the adaptations they have. First, we will discuss about the adaptation in forest plants. So plants and trees in forest have following characters. First is, since very little sunlight reaches the lower vegetation, all small plants have broad leaves to absorb what? To absorb maximum amount of sunlight. Because in forests, so trees are very proximate to each other, they are very close to each other. So it is very difficult to reach the sunlight to all the parts of the trees or plants. So the plants that grow in forest region, they have broad shaped leaves. They can absorb the sunlight, maximum amount of sunlight, so that they can produce their food. Most tropical rainforest. Now what is tropical rainforest? Tropical rainforest means the forest, they receive good amount of rain throughout the year. So leaves have a drip tip. You can see in this picture, this is the drip tip. Sorry. So what is the significance of this tip? This drip tips enables raindrops to run off quickly. You can see, because terrestrial rainforest, they receive sufficient rainfall throughout the year. So as we see, the mountainous plants, they have needle shape or they are in the cone shape. The plants that are in the forest region, they have drip, so that water can easily slip off with this, right? So this is the adaptation. This prevents rotting of leaves, right? Damage of leaves due to water accumulation, right? Because rain is there. Rain falls very often there. The leaves are also covered with waxy coating that repels water. It protects, the waxy coating protects the leaves, and the drip of the leaf protects the plants or leaves gets rotten, right? Have you understood, kids, the adaptation in plants in forest region? Excellent. Now moving towards the adaptation of forest animal. Let's see the adaptation. Many animals found here are good tree climbers like monkeys. So we call it arboreal animals, right? Arboreal or tree dwelling. What does it mean, dwelling, kids? It's a house on home where they live. A house on home. So arboreal animals live on tree. They have developed strong arm muscles to help them swing from one tree to another. So this is the adaptation. They have long hand, they have long tail to hold them when they are jumping. If they can jump from tree to tree very smoothly. So this is the adaptation of animals or abiotic components they have adapted for their survival in forest region. Very good. Now Let's move on to the second point, which is many rainforest animals are good swimmers. For example, jaguars and sloth can swim. They can swim very easily because, as I told you, that terrestrial rainforest, they receive rain throughout the year, so they are good swimmers, right? Many animals camouflage to change the color or shape to match the surroundings, to merge themselves according to surroundings. They can change the color of themselves, they can change the shape, like so. Why they do this? They do this so that they can escape from predators. Now, what is predators, kids? Predators, the animals that hunt and kill. They hunt the other animals and they eat it. So, to prevent themselves from being eaten by the predators, what they do? They change its colors or they merges with their surroundings. So this feature is called camouflage, right? We have learned camouflage in the previous classes, right? So no need to explain more here. Now the fourth one is the grassland. Now what is grassland, kids? The large area of grass, that covered land, is called grassland. As name refers, grass and land. The area of land which is covered by grass is called grassland. Trees or places for animals to hide in grassland habitat. So they find very less space to hide themselves here, right? Due to this, speed is important. Why? How they will save themselves from being eaten from the predators? They have speed. They run very fast. The animal which live in grasslands, so that they can run away from predators. Now, the adaptation. Plants have, now the next topic is adaptation in plants where in the grasslands. So plants have flexible stalks to withstand strong wind and currents, right? When the wind is blowing or strongly wind blowing, so they have what? They have flexible stalks. So they will not uproot it, right? They have small and thin leaves to prevent the water loss, and they have strong and well developed root system. Root holds the soil firmly, so it holds the plant very nicely in the soil. Now adaptation in grassland where in the animals, the prey. What is prey now? Prey is animal, a small animal. This is a small animal that lives in the habitat and it is the food of predators. Predators and prey. Prey is small animal which will be eaten by the predators, and predators are the large animals. They are hunting the prey, right? So predators are the bigger animal and they catch the prey and they kill it. So what all are the adaptations they have? A lion has long, strong and sharp claws. Where it is? It is in the front legs to catch its prey and kill it. They have long and they have very sharp claws, so they can hold their prey and they can kill it. It have eyes in front of its head which modified to locate the prey in very low light. This helps it to hunt at night as well. So they have front eyes, they can easily locate their prey and they can see in less light too. It is light brown and the color of their eyes is light brown. So again they merge with their surroundings. So it helps to hide in the grasslands. Prey cannot identify their predators, right? So the deer is what? Deer is prey. So what all adaptation deer has? It has strong teeth for chewing hard plants. They are herbivores. You all know herbivores, the animals that eat only plants and other parts of the plants are called herbivores. So deer is a herbivore animal. It has strong teeth for chewing hard plants and stems properly, right? So next is it is a fast and agile animal which helps it to run away from predators. Agile means very active. It is very active as soon as it hears any kind of sound near him. It starts running and it is very active and very fast and running, right? So it is brown in color which help it to hide in dry grasslands without being noticed by the lions and by the other predators. So lion has brown eyes so that they are able to hide themselves in the dry grassland so that prey cannot identify that predator is near me. And the deer is also brown in color so they can merge themselves in the dry grasslands so that lion cannot identify that prey is there. So the eyes are placed on the sides of its head to look continuously in all direction and be alert. First point that we have discussed that deer is very agile and very fast. But how it is happening? Because of the eyes that are placed on the sides of its head, right? So it looks continuously in its surroundings. Next is big ears help it to hear the movement of predators like lions very easily. Deers have side eyes and as well as they have big ears and these help it to hear the movements of predators. Now adaptation of aquatic habitat. We have learned in starting the habitat is grouped into two, the terrestrial habitat and the aquatic habitat. Terrestrial means land. We have learned about the habitat of plants and animals where in the mountainous region, in the dry and desert region, in the terrestrial rainforest. Right now this is time for adaptation of aquatic habitat. First is pond, lakes and rivers. As we know that fresh water and salty water, so ponds, lakes and rivers are having fresh water. So they have different habitat. You can see many plants that are growing here in ponds, lakes and rivers. The plants grow in water are called aquatic plants, right? So first we will discuss about the floating plants. Some aquatic plants float on water surface and example is water hyacinth. This plant floats freely on water surface because they don't have roots or they are not fixed. They float easily into water. So roots are not fixed inside the water. It floats. They have roots, but they float on the surface of water. So water hyacinth. Next is submerged plants. So some aquatic plants are partly submerged or some they are submerged completely in the water. So Examples of partly submerged means the water lily. Partly submerged means some part of the plant is in water and rest of the part is on the surface of the water. Next is some aquatic plants are completely submerged in the water. Example is hydrilla or Valisneria. This is the plant, these are the plants that are completely submerged in water. Right? Adaptation in aquatic plants. The aquatic plants have very small and short roots whose main function is to just to hold the plants. Like the plants have root. Why they have root? So that they can fix the plant in the soil and they also absorb water and nutrients from the soil, but the plant is already in water. It is floating on the surface of water or submerged partly or submerged completely, so they don't need water. So they have root, and root is only one function to perform, which is just to hold the water, hold the plant in its place, right? So the stem of aquatic plants are soft, hollow and light, having large spaces filled with air. So the stem is hollow from inside. It is not bulgy. It is hollow from inside, so they can float easily in water or on water. They help them to stand and float. Now the next adaptation is this: the submerged aquatic plants have narrow and thin ribbon-like leaves which can bend in the flowing water of rivers and streams and hence do not obstruct the flow of waters. Obstruct means blockage, right? So uh, they have narrow and ribbon-like leaves. I'll show you in the picture. The ribbon-like leaves, thin leaves they have, and they can bend easily as flow comes, and they don't block the path of the water, flow of the water. Right now, ocean means this is the salty or saline water. You can say a very large area is of sea is called an ocean, and it contains lot of water which is dissolved in it. So this water is very salty. So it is different. The habitat is different from fresh water. They have some special adaptations, which is aquatic animals have streamlined body. We have just discussed in the previous chapter what is streamlined body, to help them move in sea water easily. When we dive into the water, what we do, we hold our hand like this, then we dive. We are just like forming the posture of like this so that we can cut through the water easily. So because of this, the animals, the creatures that are living in the water, they have streamlined body, right? They are narrow from the edges and they are broader. The middle portion is broader, right? So they can easily swim into the water. Some sea animals like octopus and squid, which do not have streamlined body, assume a streamlined shape while swimming or praying, right? They don't have streamlined body. Now, a fish has special organ which is called gills, which help to absorb the oxygen that is dissolved in water. The aquatic life is also the animals, they live in water, they also need oxygen. So gills are helping the fishes to extract the oxygen from the water. You can see in this picture, this is the gill. These are the gills, and as it opens its mouth, it's take water inside, and gills are separating the oxygen from the water, and this water is coming out from the gills. So this is the way the fish breathes in. The fish has slippery scales, right? Scales that are present on the body of fish. They have slippery scales over its body, which protect the body from water, decay, and also help in easy movement throughout the water. So scales help in what? They help them for the easy movement and water decay, right? Next is the fish has flat fins to change its direction and keeps its body balanced in water. So fishes have fins, they have a tail, so they help in swimming, they change their directions and they keep it in the in they keep the fishes in balance, they maintain the balance. Right now, the next is the fish has strong tail for swimming. As I told you, whales and dolphins come up to the surface of the water to breathe out. What they have their nostrils, or it is called blowholes. They have the dolphins and whales. They don't have this. They have blow holes. They can stay below the water surface for several minutes without breathing. They can stay without breathing for several minutes, and when they are needing oxygen, they come onto the surface and they take in the oxygen from its blowholes. Now, adaptation in animals living in both water and land. Like these, the animals that live on land as well as on water, they are called amphibians, right? And the example of amphibian is frog. Animals like frog have ponds and nearby places as their habitat. Frogs are found in shady, damp condition near ponds. You'll find the frogs in shady, means where the sunlight is not there. Sunlight is there, but it's in less quantity. So shady and damp conditions near ponds means waterlogging is there. Damp means waterlogging is there. Frogs can live in water as well as on land near the pond. So how do they survive on land and on water? Frogs have webbed hind limbs which help them to swim in water. They have webbed feet. As the ducks have webbed feet to swim in water, ducks are birds, but they have webbed feet, and these webbed feet are helping duck to swim in water. Similarly, frogs also have webbed feet on hind limbs. Forelimbs and hindlimbs, we all know. Frogs have strong legs for hopping, jumping, and catching their prey on land. And they breathe with the lungs when they are on land, and they breathe with their skin when they are in water. So they can. That is why they are called amphibians, because they can live in water and on land as well. They breathe with the lungs when they are on land, they breathe with the skin. When they are in water, they have webbed feet to swim in the water, and they have strong legs for hopping, jumping, right? Aquatic birds like ducks have webbed feet and it helps in swimming. Ducks can also walk on land, right? So, this is the picture of frog and duck, right? Now, acclimatization. Adaptation are slow changes which take place in the bodies of organisms. It won't happen like you are here and you adjusted immediately. It won't happen. It takes time. So adaptation takes time. So however, there are some changes which can occur in organism over a short period of time to help them adjust to some sudden changes in their environment. So some sudden changes are also there. The process of becoming to a different environment such as a high altitude of mountains over short period is called acclimatization. If you are adjusting in the short period of time, it is called acclimatization. The changes which take place in the body of an organism during acclimatization are temporary. These are called temporary changes and can be reversed when they move to the different place, while the changes which take place during adaptations are permanent changes and cannot be reversed. So you got the difference between the adaptation and acclimatization. Adaptation changes are permanent changes, while the acclimatation changes are the temporary changes. Adaptation changes cannot be reversed, while acclimatization changes reverse and they move to the different place, right? So that is why it is called acclimatization. So let's recall what we have learned. The surroundings where plants and animals live in natural condition, it is called their habitat. The natural condition of abiotic components is called habitat. There are many types of habitats, however, these may be broadly grouped as terrestrial and aquatic habitat. Plants, animals, and microorganisms are all biotic components where rock, soil, air, water, light, and temperature are the abiotic components of our surroundings. The specific feature and habits which enables a plant or an animal to live in a particular habitat, which is called the adaptation. Many organisms share what? It shares the habitat, and the different types of plants and animals have adapted to different habitats. Have you understood, kids, this habitation, adaptation, acclimatization? Right? Good. So it's time for question answers. State 1, adaptation in yak which protected from cold environment. Yak has thick layer of thick fur which protect it from the cold climatic condition. What is the function of long claws in the front legs of lion? It can hold its prey and kill its prey, right? Name a bird with webbed feet. It is duck. Duck has webbed feet. Name one animal which is adapted to live in water as well as on land. It is frog, which is known as amphibian. Write any two adaptations of desert plants. Desert plants, the leaf reduced to thorns or spines to prevent the water loss, right? And they have long rooted system to absorb the water from the land, and they have waxy stem, big and waxy stem to, and it stores the water and do the photosynthesis, right? Mention the reason for having long legs in camel. We have already discussed camel have long legs, and these legs help camel to stay away from the contact of hot sand. Give the benefit of drip tip in leaves of tropical rainforest trees. It helps the trees to prevent from getting rotten, right? So water slips off easily because terrestrial rainfall is receive rainfall very often, right? So that's it for this chapter, kids. Hope you have understood all the terms well. I know you all are very intelligent, right? So I will connect you in the next class of science, next chapter of science. Till then, stay excited for clamp of another videos. Bye and take care.